Good morning, everybody. How are you doing today, Scorpio? Hopefully your day has gotten off to a good start, and I'm so glad you're spending a little bit of time with Mr. Apollo and I here today. We're going to be taking a look at the next 6 to 8 weeks together, and for those of you joining me live, happy St. Patrick's Day as well. I'm going to put down this sweet little guy, and we're going to get started. And lots of great information came through in dreams, so of course we'll always begin with channeled messages. A quick overview of what I'm doing here. Again, channeled messages come through in dreams, and today, rather than a totem, I actually was just being directly shown things that you needed to focus on, so they're very much channeled and directed messages. So after we do that psychic download, then we'll get into the Celtic Cross, and I'm using Druidcraft today because I wanted something that truly was Celtic in nature, so we'll use that in just a few moments here. First things first, though, we're going to get into those channeled messages, and I'm going to pull up the presentation here. Just want to say welcome to everybody. Good to see you. I appreciate your love and support. You make all of these videos worth it, so thanks for showing up. All right, here we go, Scorpio. Let's take a look at your messages today. So, as I was tuning in this morning, I was shown a few different things in dreams where the communication and the context, I should say the tone and the context of your communication is going to be really important. So the first two bullets go together because it looked like some of you might be working so hard that you're burning the candle at both ends, or maybe you misinterpreted how a joke might land with your audience. So when you're talking to someone, I really want you to keep in mind how it sounds. So we'll talk more about that in a moment. Rest is key, and then also some deadline management and expectation of those deadlines as well. So let's get into the first thing. I could have easily put her upside down here. It's just nicer to look at the Queen of Swords in the upright position. And as I was looking at this too, I really paid attention to that sword. I've seen this card dozens of times, well, not dozens, thousands of times. And whenever you see this, communication can either be a weapon, or it can be a tool, or it can be a means to an end. And that sword really indicates all the different things that communication can be. Is it going to lift up? Is it going to inform? Is it going to cut straight through? So I'll just kind of break down what it looked like in my dream, and then you guys can remember this as you're having verbal exchanges over the course of the next 6 to 8 weeks. So in dreams, I was watching a verbal exchange, a conversation take place. And it felt like there was, it was a reporting sort of energy to it where someone needed an update. And so you or the other person were tired, but they still felt this obligation, I need to say what's going on. Because of the extra curricular or external sort of things that were going on, again, that were fatiguing that other person, the tone came off very strange. It was either cold or sharp or sardonic or sarcastic. There were some jokes that were interspersed, but they weren't landing. And then the other party seemed genuinely concerned and even a little off-put at the way it was communicated. Like, are you not taking me seriously? Are you angry at me? And instead it was just like, no, I'm just tired. So we've all been there before where you're just tired or exhausted and someone tries to communicate at the wrong time. So I think the important thing then is it would be better to delay the conversation and just say, I'm a little bit under the weather, or I haven't gotten enough sleep and I'm not thinking clearly. Can you give me just a little bit of time to collect my thoughts? Or if we need to talk, let's keep it brief. I'm just not feeling myself today. That's going to set the expectation that it's not them, that this needs to be quick. And I would say get in and get out, and don't try to do anything in a sort of comical, joking way. It's not going to land. So Queen of Swords upright, it's good that we have her here. She's concise, she's clear, she's kind. When she goes into the reverse, she's not using the words in the best way, okay? And another thing that I could say here is, if what you have to say isn't constructive or isn't kind, just throw it out. It's not the time to do it. It's really not a good thing in general. We have to stay in a constructive mode, and that's going to keep you on track, okay? So if anyone else around you is doing something like this and it hits you, take a step back and realize there's probably something going on outside of the conversation. And that's how I would approach it with them, is say, is everything okay? We can have this conversation later. That's sort of what I would do. All right, next piece. Sleep is key. Every body, every human body needs a different amount. And so you and probably only you and your doctor are the ones that can judge this best. But what I'm picking up on is general fatigue. This could be related to good news in your life, because there could be a lot of positive changes going on, and you're just, there's a lot of endorphins, or a lot of just a lot that you're putting your energy into. Don't neglect self-care, essentially, is what I'm saying with this. Make sure that you're all right. Make sure that you're keeping the battery charged up. And rest is so important because it clears your mind. It reconnects you to your vocabulary, to your higher self, to your heart. And so then when you act and when you speak and when you tune in, it's with complete clarity and fidelity. When you don't have it, invariably, things just don't go the way that they should. Okay? And as I've gotten older, younger version of me when I was in college, I would sometimes thrive off of not having, just pushing through, not having enough sleep for a few days. But I realized later that the quality of work, especially written and spoken communication, it really did falter if you were not complete. There were typos, there were things that you would miss. So even in your day-to-day actions, when you're driving, when you're manufacturing something, when you're engaging with someone in a project, it's just not your best. Get the sleep. Better to stop at a certain point. So now what I do instead of staying up late is I just get up early. I go to sleep when I need to, and I get up a couple hours early, and I front load the day instead of kind of like burning the candle until I'm exhausted. So that's my advice here for you, is proper self-care. Now, there's a lot about like management of expectations. That's really what this card could be. I put justice here because all of the things that we say, we judge it, our higher self judges it. So try not to say things that you can't do, or try not to say things that aren't true. If you don't want to do something, say you don't want to do it. If you can't do something, explain what kind of assistance that you need. And basically, as you keep, we've been using a lot of mantras this week in the daily card pulls. So what I would say here is, if I keep my promises, I expect others to do the same, or I call in people that do the same. So by being accountable people are attracted to you because it's fun and it's engaging and it's easy to work with you. You say what you're gonna, you do what you're gonna say. Let's put it again. When you say you're gonna do something, you do it. Easier said than done, right? So anyway, just try to keep your promises. I think that's gonna be really important here. And if something's unrealistic, last bullet's the most important, and it comes with age. Just say, I don't think I can do this, or this doesn't make sense, or I'm a little concerned. Don't get in over your head. And as we get older, we worry a little bit less about what people think in that respect. So there's a common theme through all of those, which is self-care, constructive communication, proactive communication, management of expectations. And by doing all of these things, which come with maturity, you're going to be happier. People around you are going to know what you're working on, not kind of have to swoop in and ask questions. And life is just going to be a lot better. So today was very message centric, and I go where my intuition takes me. So if I don't see a totem, but I get a ton of messages, that's fine. It's just a different way that spirit works with me. So for some reason, that's what we needed to focus on today. All right, just a quick note. If you like what you see, please hit subscribe. We're really close to a milestone. You can also follow me on social media if you enjoy this. Look out for those imposters. I don't offer private readings, and there's a lot of folks out there that try to take advantage of others. So just realize this is where you show up. They're always going to be here on YouTube, or you can find more information on my official website for projects and things that I'm doing. All right, let's get started, folks. This is the Celtic Cross. I'm going to lay everything out here, and then we'll break down all of the messages one by one. All right. I'm laughing at the person that's watching me at 2 a.m. It's okay. Sleep in. If you're watching the reading, you can finish it, but definitely sleep in. Yeah, I've been doing this for a long time, so I don't question how the universe wants to work with me. And if it wants to just show me things, that's intuition. I don't always need a symbol. And I think that's actually been happening a lot over the past couple of months. I've just been seeing situations more. It's looking good, folks. It's looking great, actually. A few reversals, but that's okay. All right. Yeah, I really like these two cards here. We'll talk more in a second, but you're headed in a good direction. Let's zoom out a little bit. This is a wonderful deck. It's Druidcraft. You can go to my website, which I flashed up there a moment ago, for information. And it's great because it's St. Patrick's Day, so I wanted something with a Celtic feel to it. Let's do it this way. Yeah, I wore green today. I don't have a lot of green. I love blue, I love red, I love a lot of colors, but I was like, I should get more green. Some change going on for you guys. Yeah, watching live and also reading live, it's fun. Part of the reason I just prefer live readings. I've mentioned this before. By the way, you can show support if you like the live format. Definitely like, subscribe, share, interact with it even when it's on replay, because YouTube tends to not promote live as well or as much, and they've even rearranged the tabs and everything. But there's a special energy about showing up and connecting with one another live. So yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's start with your Catalyst card. We have Belladonna, which is an interesting, it's beautiful, but it's also a little dangerous, right? So things are not necessarily what they, to me, I would actually connect this possibly with like the moon or the devil, because things are not always what they seem. So when you're looking at things this month, be discerning. Sometimes something that looks perfect could have a string attached. Sometimes something that seems so-so, the more you start to check into it, you're like, you know what, this is actually pretty good. So I really want you to dig deeper and be discerning and be open to learning new things about people and opportunities around you. To me, this represents more than meets the eye when I'm looking at Belladonna. So it's a beautiful flower. It's very fragrant, but poisonous, I believe. So we want to be careful of that. So something could just require a little bit. Again, I was talking about at the beginning, if you feel like something's unrealistic, if you feel overwhelmed, if you need more information, the older you get, the more you're absolutely fine with just saying, hey, I'm not so sure about this, or I need some clarity on this, or no, we're not going to do that. So channel that inner wisdom at any age or at any stage of your life, and know that it's better to speak up and trust your instinct, because as we look at the cards, hopes, fears, and opportunities, it's coming through here to protect you and to keep you on the right track. So there we go. Let's transition now, looking specifically at the Celtic Cross here. And as we look at the Celtic Cross, we're going to focus here on the center cards, but I want to just take a quick sort of temperature check of everything. What I'm noticing is that there's nothing in the general spread that's showing sort of disruption. What I'm looking at instead is a lot of opening here, especially when we're looking in the future states here. How you're showing up, what's going on around you, your opportunities, the outcome, it's all positive. So the trajectory of the month is great. And then the near and the outcome, near future and outcome are great too. So there's a little bit of stuff to deal with, but it's not bad at all. It really does have to do with management of time and energy and overcoming some fears, but this is a good month. I can say that just by glancing at the spread here. So I'm going to try to help you maximize all the stuff here. Let's start off with the Page, or the Princess of Pentacles. She's reversed and she's in the center. And this has come through, I believe it came through this week once, but I talked about this recently anyway. A Page of Pentacles in reverse is basically saying, I understand my value. I know that I need something, and I'm not afraid to sort of advocate for all of that. So if you are not getting enough time or energy or support or money from someone, you're basically just going to call that out and say, in order for this to happen, I need this. Simple. Sometimes a little difficult if you're not sure of yourself, but if you really work on confident delivery and knowing that at the end of the day, this is going to make things better, it's key. So if you need something, ask for it. You have a good chance of getting it. We see her contemplating and trying to figure out how and where and what she wants to say. And I think there's some wisdom in that too. So be very certain. Sorry, there's some dogs outside that are having some fun. Be very certain about what it is that you're saying and doing before you deliver it, and that's going to be important here. One last thing with this is just simply a declaration from Spirit, which is, you are worth it. And if you're going to say the mantra, I'm worth it, and then say what you need. So in your head, you're running a mantra, I'm worth it, this is good, I'm worth all of this and more, and then ask for what it is, and that'll help you out. We have a boss card crossing that, the Queen of Wands. So I feel very good about your ability. Once you get the support that you need, things take off in a good way. And by the way, this is also just personal development. So if you want to go to school, get some training, spend something on yourself that's going to help with development, this is great. Now let's talk about the boss. We've got the Queen of Wands. She's intuitive, she's to the point, she's magical, and she's got a little bit of fire in her. So we like all of those things. People might be looking for your passion, especially if you're job seeking or if you're trying to put yourself out there in the dating market. This card is inviting because the person just has that, it's the connection that you can't quite put your finger on, the spark, really. And so if we're going to have a card that has a spark, the Queen of Wands is great. Queen, King, any of the court cards. You may have to kindle, create, or project the spark, but that's going to be important. And I don't know, I remember I went to a reunion and my best friend from high school mentioned, it was an interesting comment. He's a very astute person, but he said, it's so good to see that the fire hasn't died within you. He said, a lot of people in our age group, I can just see that the light went out. He said, you still have a lot of fire. I'm not a fire sign, but it was a nice comment. I was like, yeah, I'm not done yet. I got a lot of stuff to do on this planet. So the fire is something within. He's intuitive, but in a different way, on a more practical, but everyone there's a very close friend of me typically has good intuition, but that was a compliment. That was a nice compliment. The other thing that he asked me at that reunion was, he didn't care what I was doing. He just said, are you happy? Good. I don't care what you're doing as long as you're happy. Super old soul, really solid person. So my question to you, I'm going to put back what my friend said to me because it's all about the spark here. Are you happy in what you're doing in your life, whether it's your relationship, your job, or just generally speaking? And if you're not happy, that's okay, because that's an informing feeling. What is it that you're dissatisfied with? What do you want to do about that lack of satisfaction? And where do you feel and find the spark in your life? The Queen of Wands wants you to pick things up in that area and do something with it. And be the boss. Don't wait for someone to bring it to you. Go out there and knock on some doors. When I first came to California, I spent some time in Northern California for a little bit. I'm in Southern. But I remember I was so bold that I would just, I don't think you can even do this now because of security and everything, but I just walked into the doors of some of the companies that I wanted to and said, I'd like to speak to HR, and I handed my resume to people there. And I actually landed appointments. It was ridiculous, but because no one was typically that bold. And I got a job from doing that. And I got one of my best jobs from just sending a cold resume because I felt a connection. I'm like, I should really apply to this company. And it was before they had created them. Now I know it's intuition. They were just getting ready to interview for something. And right now, as I'm figuring out some guests for the podcast and everything, there's a couple where I'm like, I just feel like that's going to work. We're gonna contact that person. It's going to work. So go where you feel like it might work out and you already believe that it's just waiting to happen, and go for it. Boldness pays off sometimes, within reason, but just take a leap of faith. You never know where it might bring you. All right, looking at the deep past, we have the Moon card here. In the upright position in the past, I'm actually not that concerned about it. This card is powerful intuition coming through. And there's a path in front of the dog and the coyote, and it's basically about not getting caught up in the crossfire. Typically how I look at this. This could be the crossfire of youth, your friends, your family, people around you that constantly, doesn't everybody have an opinion on who you're dating, what you're doing, what you're wearing, how you're speaking? Everyone has something to say. How do you feel? What are you trying to do? Is it serving your higher interest? If so, the moon is reminding you to reflect on what matters, to focus on the path, the high road. Don't get involved with this drama. If there's something that you need to talk about it. There could be a water sign. We have Cancer coming through on this card. Usually it's a lobster, not a crab, but there could be a water sign coming into your life. This is also just you, by the way. So what we're seeing is you're stepping into your power and you're getting very much ready to walk that path. Don't get distracted. Distraction's the only thing that can pull you off the path. You're worth this. This is what this is all about. Recent past, we have the King of Pentacles. King of Pentacles is basically going to bring it to the finish line. So the Queen of Wands, she's like the executive producer. This is your CEO. He's going to make sure that everything is done, and he's taking ownership of it. So this month you are being asked to sort of take some ownership and do it. What I love about an upright King of Pentacles is he shares the love, he shares the wealth. He's also listening to what's going on around him. He's not closed-minded. See the little bird? Little bird is bringing him messages. There's always abundance surrounding this particular card. Typically, we would see, okay, we do. Usually there's some vines and some growth. This is a little bit more winter-based because it looks like holly. But anyway, we always see food, and we saw that there's some food on the fire, and we see growth. And in this card, we also see good news coming in. So if you don't have the wealth, the abundance, or the opportunity yet, your mental mantra this month is, I can't wait to hear the good news. I can't wait to open the opportunity. I'm ready right now to create abundance in the highest forms in my life. If you've been watching me for a while, I use cards to connect to spirit and to change energy. They're alchemic, they're powerful. These symbols have been around for hundreds of years. So we're not just reading what's happening, we're reading what's possible. That's where the power is. And you get to be an active participant and co-creator. So you get to really call in abundance, and you have to listen to intuition and feedback around you. He's listening, and that's why things are working out for him. Okay, moving on to your crowning card. We have the Seven of Wands here. This was what I was talking about in my channeled messages. Managing expectations, managing progress, managing feedback, all of that. So the Seven of Wands is the card that can basically handle everything, but probably is working a little bit harder than they need to. To answer the question in chat, yeah, you can, I do that, but I also, fun fact, yeah, I'm the CEO of my own company, but I also hired an executive producer to help me with the podcast. But I'm also co-executive producer of the podcast, for instance. But all my things on the channel, I do everything. But I hope to one day have a team. I hire people out for some projects, but everything you see here, I'm exhausted on some levels, and I'm just trying to grow the company in the right way because it takes time. So yes, you can do both, but not forever. So there has to be, even like any head of a company wants people to work around them so that they can focus on the vision. Because if you're too busy building the car, changing the oil, changing all the stuff inside, but you never get out to drive, you don't know what that's like. You have to be able to kind of like see the high level and make sure that you're seeing what's going on around you. So yes, but if you listen to this piece, this is the key here. You don't have to do everything all the time. You should be able to delegate. You should be able to let go. The Seven of Wands is a card where you either need to do more or less. You either need to push through to the finish line and get to the 8, 9, 10, or pull back, do less, do it better, and get to the Six of Wands, which is success. So sometimes when you let go of doing all these little menial things, then it's like, oh, now I can just focus on vision, and then things take off. So you either need to work smarter, not necessarily harder, or you need to push through and get done what you said you were going to get done so that you can go up a level. Think beyond the CEO. There's something else. There's something bigger that's calling to you. That's what I'm getting with that. You don't know anybody in explanation, and try not to get defensive, sharp, or use sarcasm like we talked about earlier. Okay. Looking at your near future, something is overdue. It's time to birth, it's time to create, it's time to let go. And that's why the Seven of Wands is it's an uneven energy, and it's asking or it's encouraging you to find some evenness here. So the Sun card coming through in the near future, it's a playful energy. It's a baby card. It's one of 3 key child cards, 6 of Cups, the Sun, and the Fool itself is kind of a baby as well. So basically this is coming through saying 2 things actually. As I look at this child with his innocence, optimism, and joy, it's basically like, it's going to be fine. It's time. It's time to do what you want to do. And then the other thing is it's the inner child coming through and saying, what else have we been setting things up for but for this? So in this moment in time, you're being allowed to just sort of shed your skin, have some fun, and do something. Or if you've been holding on to something, it feels like it's ready. And I do love the joy, the optimism, and the new chapter with this. There's another message coming through for those of you who have like loved and lost or tried and not succeeded the first time. This is basically saying, don't give up. You owe it to that inner child. You owe it to yourself. This time it's a little bit different. So it might look like a baby, but it's actually the sun, and the sun is pretty empowered and far along when it comes to the major arcana. So this is one of the two stars that I could pull. The star and the sun are both just different words for a star. So your moment is coming. It might be overdue. Just keep on keeping on and don't give up now. You're very close. Seven of Wands shows me the level of proximity that you are to the finish line. It's pretty close, maybe like 70% of the way there. So this month is that sort of final push through. Don't give up. Okay, moving on to you. You came through as the Ace of Cups in reverse. What is it that you need? What is it that you want? How do you feel? This is a card that basically needs to be balanced. Upright, it's wonderful. You're very close to this, but I think what happens with Ace of Cups reverse for many of you is you end up giving and giving and giving, but never, maybe you're having a hard time just simply saying, yes, thank you, receiving. Or when it comes through, there's what's the best word that I'm looking for here? It's sort of like a imposter syndrome that comes through where you feel like I'm not worthy of this, or this can't really be happening, or this never will happen. Let's try to move away from those thoughts more towards I'm ready for bigger and better. Let's make this happen. I'm worth it. Now, the other thing with this is it can be just simple discernment. If something doesn't feel right for you, it's not right. So it's just like eating or drinking. If you start drinking something and it's like, oh, this is spoiled or this isn't right, you won't keep drinking or eating it because you're going to get sick. So the same thing exists with relationships and activities that make us feel not happy in the heart. Just listen to that. Could there be love coming in? Yes. If love comes in, probably past life energy with it. We'll talk more about that when I get into the expanded forecast in just a little bit. Okay. As we expand to the horizon or to the environment, we actually see some of that incoming love here. And it's kind of interesting because we have a very dynamic and a very, what's the best word here? Well, for me, when I'm looking at this, it's a partnership. 2 pages are perfect. They're good at communicating, but they communicate in different ways. So you are coming through with this. You're very much focused this month on personal development as I'm looking at this, Scorpio. So good for you. When I'm looking at your partner, if you're trying to call someone in, or we'll look more again when I go into love, but existing and new partners may need a little bit from you, a little bit more than you're ready to give. And that's why you are being challenged in this moment to basically get this cup in the upright position and feel happy, stable, and fulfilled without somebody, or separate from. You have to have that sense that I am enough for myself and anything else is a cherry on top. And then when someone comes in, you'll be more likely to pull them in the upright sort of position than the reversed. So you'll be magnetizing Princess of Cups in that upright position, who is open, who is happy, who isn't seeking validation. So find the validation within. And again, as you, what's the word that I want to do? Elevate, elevate and work on yourself, then your partners end up being elevated and also in the same sort of energy. Like attracts like. So the better you can be, the better they're going to be. And that's how you find Mr., Mrs., whomever right. It's by basically already being that, embodying that within. You are manifesting now in real time things that you want. You're also manifesting fears, so let's not do that. High Priestess in reverse sometimes doesn't believe in her power until something's already like smacking you on the face obvious. So you don't have to have something literally be in your face before it's clear. Just trust in your ability to create. This is a great card for knowing, we were talking about that earlier, like just basically knowing this is the right person, or this is the right time, or I need to say something, or I shouldn't do this. Any of those guiding thoughts with clarity and without fear. It's just a knowing, inner knowing. Please, please, please embrace them, tune into them, and allow them to bring you into the best possible situation. This is a great time to develop your spirituality, to learn something new. She's like a sieve or a sponge. She basically brings in all that needs to be, lets go of what doesn't need to be, and it's just a great card for creativity and connectivity as well. So I think this is going to be a powerful month for you and that you have a good chance of accomplishing what you set out to do. In fact, as we look at your outcome, it's the Three of Pentacles, which is mastery. Eight of Pentacles is learning, Three of Pentacles is mastery. Don't ask me why they swapped the two, and it's like in reverse order, but this is a very, very potent and very important card. And we actually see acknowledgement and what's the other word that I want to talk about here? Basically validation coming through. So other people are taking notice. What's really cool is that the way that this card is kind of set up is that the person isn't doing it for the express purpose of recognition, but there's kind of like this energy around the person where people are taking note of all the stuff that we've talked about today. The ability to manage expectations, to meet all of their sort of promises and their contracts on time, and to also just have that indelible spark that hopefully all of you are working on creating right now. Okay? Let's expand this. We'll go a little deeper. We're going to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny, beginning with health, with a reminder that I'm not a replacement rather for a doctor, for a counselor, or for a financial advisor. What I am is an intuitive. And what I'm here to do today is to help you look at the energy and basically embrace some of these portals of opportunity. Some of you, interestingly enough, are either seeking a teacher or maybe you're going to be in a position where people want to hear you speak. If you're trying to learn about something in your past, in your history, in your body, this might just be you deciding to kind of dig into stuff in your genealogy, or again, maybe just your cultural history, because actually this does have an effect on our day-to-day health. Depending on what part of the world you came from, some of the things that have affected people from that region, you could be learning about that kind of stuff, sort of like the DNA energy and trying to basically be as healthy as you can and avoid certain markers genetically and all of that. But I'm looking at this on a broader perspective, which is maybe you're just really curious about new ways to do things, new ways to open yourself up intuitively and creatively. So this is a good month for learning. All that I said about the High Priestess comes through with the teaching card as well. She's able to soak it all in. This is someone who's able to impart knowledge. You might be doing a little bit of both. You might be teaching, you might be learning. But I like that energy, and I think that this is a great month to figure things out. Specifically looking at what might be affecting your body this month, again with that standard disclaimer in mind, here's what I see. So there's a lot of emotional cards here, but they're charged. We have the Page of Cups and the Ace of Cups both reversed. So there's a lot of heavy stuff going on around you, and some of you are pretty empathic and picking up on that. We also see in the past something that may be a trigger of fear. For some of you, it could just be not wanting something to repeat or happen again. And basically the Moon card is just you knowing that your instinct is going to keep you from going there, so don't worry about it. Other things that could be coming through. If you are starting something new, don't overdo it. The Seven of Wands tends to be a little bit aggressive with like new diet, exercise, or other routines with respect to health. So it took a while to get where you're at. It's going to take a while to get to the next level. And it's better to ease in slower percentages as you change it. So make a 25% change today. Don't change everything. Then go 30%, 40%. Ease your way towards your goal. It doesn't have to happen overnight, and it's going to be more sustainable if you do it that way. Some of you are pregnant or just gave birth. The Sun card reverse is about adjusting to that new energy in your life. Some of you might just feel like you need to do something different. You're stagnating. So it can either show that there's this need to reinvent yourself or that your life is significantly changed because of an addition to your family. So either way, be gentle with yourself. And that's it. There's a lot of being gentle. So emotional energy, sort of like you turning a new page and then trying not to do everything overnight. Especially with this Belladonna card right by the Seven of Wands, something may be like the newest fad, but it may not be right for your body. So be very wise about that kind of stuff. This card usually has to do with keeping to a schedule. It's a very sort of regimented card. It can also be prescription. So just make sure that you're keeping up with things that you're supposed to be doing for your general well-being. All right, that is health. Let's move on to wealth, which is going to encompass resources, life purpose, and career. And in that area, we have the eagle, basically see things from a higher perspective. Love that. The card is reversed, so much like the high priestess, this third eye seems to be squinting. It's almost like you know it, but you're not trusting it. So I'd really encourage you maybe just to change up your environment, because one thing that an eagle can do, well, there's a couple things that it can do really well. It's a good hunter, but it's also good at flying and getting a perspective of the world. So change up the location. If you're feeling blocked, working from home, working from the office, or hanging out with a certain group and you feel like I can't break free of or can't break into what I'm trying to do, then change up the environment. With wealth, the fact that you got an eagle, even if it's reversed, is okay, because this is one of the, it depends, I think it's an apex predator, being that it's close to, if not at the top of its food chain. So if you want something, like I said before, you have a really good chance of getting it. The only things that could be blocking you this month in being that manifester, because this is you sort of like having that clear vision, being able to manifest it, to hunt and get what you want. You have to ask. You have to be willing and ready to follow through on it. Push back on unnecessary and unrealistic expectations. And prioritize yourself. This could be hard for some of you, because you may be the role of teacher, parent, nurse, doctor, someone who looks after others. And this month really is about paying attention to what matters for you. And so you have encouragement from the cards. You don't need permission, but that's kind of what I'm seeing here is that. Let me see what else is coming through. If something doesn't feel right, speak up. There's been a couple of times where I've gone to doctors and they've said, how did you know? Like, there's no markers. They had to do a couple of tests and they're like, yeah, you're right. There's something there. Okay. So sometimes you just feel something in your body. I'm intuitive, so sometimes I can pick up on where it's at. But if you just feel like I have a question on this, or this, I don't like the way this is affecting me, particularly if it's like a medication or something, ask about alternatives. You never know until you ask. Really, speaking up is key. What I like about everything in the expanded forecast this month is we've got the Sun, which is going to be a good outcome, and we have the Three of Pentacles, which is a good outcome. So as long as you are taking an active role in it, good things should come through. It is about you this month, and it is about you having some attention. So maybe getting comfortable with how you're going to react to either being on, I saw that in the dreams, being put on the spot. It doesn't necessarily mean that there's a big party and everyone's applauding you. There might also just be someone coming through and they want a progress update, but you have a chance to shine here. You can be graceful under pressure. You can be doing well with this. Just basically manage your time, manage your energy, and manage your communication this month. All right, let's change the focus here and take a look at love. I like to break it down into a few different areas, like romantic love, those of you that are looking for new love, and then it can just be those of you that are single and happy. But first, I take it on all levels, which is basically across the board, everybody that you love and care about. This is the message there, and it's change. Some of you may be dealing with a loss. The scythe is associated with the angel of death. But this could also be changed for the better. The fact that it's reversed means that it's either a cycle that needs to come to a close, or it's something that came through rapidly, unexpectedly, and it requires attention. And so we can't control change. And everything on this planet every day changes. So the one constant is age and change. We can't stop aging yet. And even if we can, who knows what that will look like? That's a dystopian movie waiting to happen. And we can't stop changing. We're supposed to grow and move and evolve every single day. So when you kind of like lean into the energy of change, that's when the magic happens. So in relationships, here's what I see. Some relationships are growing stronger. Some are growing apart. Some of you are learning to get along without someone. And in existing relationships, if the two of you can celebrate the growth, which is another aspect of change, transformation, that's how it can be successful. And that's a nice segue to look at relationships and all the different sort of like spectrums that we like to look at. So starting first with those that are in an existing relationship. This can be love, like romantic, or the person you love the most. With those of you that are in that kind of relationship, here's what I see. First of all, I mentioned that you and your partner seem to be pretty evenly matched, but you do communicate differently. So finding a way to meet in the middle is going to be important. It seems like you're also kind of, this is so bizarre. This could be your children. This can be you. So I'm actually picking up on blended families or larger families. And in both, it's pretty good, but again, different ways of communicating. This one shows it. And this one basically wants to see it in black and white. There's some, they need to sort of see the proof, where this one just kind of like makes it happen and trusts the instinct a little bit more. So I do get interesting ways that the two of you work, and it's not identical and it's complementary. And if you can celebrate the complementary way that the two of you work, that's going to be key. What are the challenges this month? Trying to push someone to do something they don't want to do. Not talking about something that needs to be talked about. One partner really wants to focus on themselves right now, and that's not necessarily bad, but it could be difficult if you have things that you need help with or attention on. There's a lot of passion this month, so there's definitely a chance to increase intimacy, but both of you need a lot, and I would say what you need to focus on first is balancing out your energies first. So there's a lot of change in your lives right now. Could be a new birth of a child, could be something else, but the change has to sort of settle, and the two of you need to balance out your energies first. But once you do, it looks good. This is definitely a month when you can manage it, but it is about basically realizing that you don't have to force the person to do what you want and vice versa. It's okay this month. I like it. If you're looking for love, this is where, whether you're looking for love or in a loving relationship, the Sun and the Death card or a talisman of the Death card basically shows me past life energy. What I'm picking up on is the fact that there was a parental, and we got this kind of here, teacher, student, or parent-child energy. So this lifetime, obviously, you come through with amnesia and you don't remember that, but there is a sense like one person knows better. And so I've been picking up on this theme a little bit in relationships and karmic cycles, specifically as we're looking at April. Just remember, you are on an equal level this month. I talked about this to Libra, but it's coming through on Scorpio. Makes sense. You guys are very close time-wise. So I would say there are two things that I can specifically tell you that I didn't tell Libra. You are not the other person's mother or father. You don't have to fix them. And if you have stuff you need to deal with in your life, there's an encouragement to find the power within rather than putting all of that energy onto someone else. So basically, I want to see both parties work on maturation and work on feeling like they can do this. And there isn't then any longer that feeling of mother or father knows best. And really don't, we may joke around and call one another, daddy or mommy or something like that. But really, that's not a cool thing sometimes. You really want someone in that role in your life, in your relationship. I know it's funny, but it also kind of is, it's pulling in a power dynamic that you really don't want. You're both the king or the queen in the relationship. And that's my 2 cents worth on that. Okay. Let me see if there's anything else that I want to talk about. I think that's it for looking for love. Here, a couple of other things. You're manifesting in real time, so don't think to yourself, I can't have this or this won't happen. Think, this time it's going to be different. This time I'm ready. This time I'm going to pay attention. You're acutely aware. You are presently manifesting, and people are attracted to you and the work that you're doing, which is an interesting thing to kind of point out. So if you are on the path that you're meant to be on, and if you're feeling fulfillment in your life, someone's attracted to how you've got it all together, okay? All right, now let's move on to those that are single and happy. Good for you. What I'm seeing this month is great teamwork energy, because this is teamwork, this is teamwork, this is teamwork. You're gonna work really well in groups of people this month. There's no reason that you have to be alone. I see so many types of individuals. Like, there's tons of court cards here. I think you have power to be heard. You have the power to make a splash and make something happen. I think that recognition is on the horizon. So this is a month for personal development, for career development. The one thing that you can't put to the wayside, though, is emotional health and mental health in particular. So if you're going through something, ask for the help that you need from a psychologist, counselor, or friend, but really a psychologist or counselor for sure. Okay, Otherwise, it's a good month across the board when we're looking at relationships. I like where we're headed. Let's move on to the Destiny card. Destiny is basically something that we are constantly changing, and it's also kind of like the Catalyst card. This is something that's going to help you stay in that heavy, or not that heavy, that high vibe. So it says, raise your vibration is a mantra that calls me into the light, or calls the that calls me to light up. Oddly phrased. I just like raise your vibration and use mantras. Mantras actually are very powerful, and if you've tuned into my channel enough, you see that I'll give advice for it. You can then take that and wordsmith it. Make it your own. Magic's basically, it depends upon your own belief and connection to the words. So use the words that you believe in, make them positive, and then you start to attract those opportunities in your life. But you have a chance this month to improve. Ultimately, raise your frequency, raise your vibration means you're going to get an upgrade. And then if you think of every day as being an opportunity to reset or do better, then it does help you create that spark. This whole month is about creating a spark. This was crossing the center, so this is what's going to amplify or mute things. This is your Destiny card, and it's basically saying it's about lighting up. And I mentioned finding your spark. She's got a bonfire behind her. There's no lack of spark there. The only thing that can hold you back is something that looks like it is something that it's not. So if something's too good to be true, or you're a little bit uncertain about something, ask. Always speak up. It's always worth, at least asking that question. Let's take a look at the big idea for this month and see what it's all about. Then we'll expand the forecast. Six of Cups. Fantastic. Okay, so I mentioned one of the child cards in tarot. You actually can see the kids in the background on this card. The card is in reverse, even though I'm holding it upright just so we can see it. This is it's interesting. So with this, some of you may be nostalgically or even with a sense of sadness or yearning, looking back at something from the past, thinking, I would have done that differently, or how did I miss this? And I think that reflective energy has a time and a place. It helps us understand the path that we've walked, but you're creating the path that you're about to walk, but the pack around you. No mistakes here in what comes through my mouth. There could be people around you that are having a hard time seeing that. So I'd encourage you simply to live in the present and focus on what you want to create. Don't put too much energy into regret. There's not enough time left on this lifetime and this timeline for that. Our life isn't necessarily short, but it is finite. We don't want to waste time with regret. Let regret inform what your next move is going to be. I'm not going to regret this anymore. I'm going to do this instead, and then release it. If you're calling in partnerships, definitely past life energy with this. I still want to mention that it's either sibling or there's some sort of hierarchy to it. So again, parent-child or older brother, older sister. So this time around, equal. And having fun. You're going to be at your most powerful when you can have a laugh, when you can be playful, but read the room, folks. That's the one thing that wasn't happening in my dream. By reading the room, I mean make sure that it's the appropriate time and that the person is understanding it, and that there's nothing. I actually think there's no time for a sarcastic remark. It's never going to land well. Sarcasm it's rooted in truth, and that's why it hurts. You're saying something that has a kernel of truth and making fun of someone. It's never going to be good in the long run. Sardonic, same way. So if you can laugh at stuff. You can do some self-effacing humor. You can laugh at the ridiculousness of something. But when you have to laugh at the expense of someone, or when you purposely say something that's a little sharp, it's going to hurt. It hurts more than the hurt stays after the laugh finishes. That's why we don't want to do sarcasm. So if that's your nature, this month, raise it up a little bit and focus more on not laughing at anybody's expense. Just laughing is good. I'm all for it. I like comedy. Humor is one of the ways to transmute energy, but let's do it in a way that isn't harmful. Okay. We've looked at all of this. We're going to now expand this to take a look at the sun, rising, and moon. Let me just get back to the main page. So sun, rising, and moon energies. Let's go ahead and see what's coming through for you. And again, you can cross-watch, but I specifically like to look at these three elements. sun, rising, and moon. Wow, powerful cards. Okay, we're going to start with the sun card. I'm glad I've used this deck. It's been a while since I have. So this is one of my favorite Two of Swords because it really shows you, the card came through reverse, but we're looking at it upright. But it basically shows you that you could stay stuck forever wondering this or that, looking at lists. And sometimes it's very hard when it's a shade of gray or the path is in the middle. And lots of energy this month about finding the path. So here's the interesting thing. The two paths can represent the dog and the coyote on this. So on this one, you might simply need to make your own path, go a different direction. Who's to say there isn't one behind her? So if the paths in front of you aren't good, create a new one. What's good about this card in reverse is the blindfold is coming off and something's being revealed. And it's kind of like the Hanged Man. You're able to see something that wasn't there before. Don't be afraid to take one of those swords like a machete or like a sai and basically come through and just say, all right, let's clear a path. These aren't good enough for me. I'm going to try something else. That's what I did a few years back, 8 years ago now. I had a epiphany in the shower this morning. I've been doing what I'm doing now as long as my last job, longer possibly. So now this is possibly my longest job. I worked for 15 years in entertainment and stuff, but this is my longest job now post corporate career, and that was a good feeling. I'm like, but I'm out there every day clearing all of the stuff. So don't be afraid to clear it if you need to and make a new path. If you don't see it, make a path. That's my final message for the sun sign. Let's move to rising, and we have the Prince of Pentacles. Those of you who ask shall receive, or you have a good chance of receiving something good here with the Prince of Pentacles. Knight of Pentacles moves the needle forward, does what's right. And again, this could be the answer to the Page asking for something. There could be new love or opportunity knocking. Rising and Ascendant often touches the areas of work and social spheres and public opinion. So you have a chance to show up as someone who is worth spending time and energy on and with. And there is a guarded nature to this night as we look at that shield. So for some of you, it is about knowing when and where to let the guard down just a little bit. And I think that's all I want to say with this. I just actually really like the message for Rising and Ascendant. If you're looking for new work, relationships, or opportunities, we see it coming in. There is a little bit of hesitancy. So make sure that you are open enough to it. The shield could be held to the side. Let the people see who you are this month as well. All right, Moon. This is the most powerful. This is Judgment, but it's named differently in this deck, and it's rebirth. And I mentioned not everybody's having a baby this month, obviously. So this is the other end of it's the other end of death, but we see that the baby comes through in a few different places. So this rebirth card, let's look at it up close because it's so beautiful. So we see a hare or rabbit in the foreground showing that this time around, things are going to grow and change and move much more quickly than they did before. When you repeat the major arcana cycle, so basically after this is the World, and then we go back to the Fool. And so that's kind of like while you're coming through the cave, you're ready to start the process anew. You're wiser. Each revolution around the sun, each solar return, you're a little bit wiser. So the Fool isn't always the Fool as you go through 60, 70, 80 times. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I've been through this before. So I'm getting that energy this time is that, again, we're looking at moon sign. Many of you have been through this, and now it's just really about having some fun with the fact that you've got nothing to lose. And that was kind of what I felt like at the time too. That was on the heels of the loss of my father. I recently lost my mother. And at this point in my life, I feel like it's just me, take it or leave it. And so I totally get this. Because at the end of your days, it's just you. And so like in this moment, particularly moon sign, but all of Scorpio, I would like you to really think about, are you living the life that you intended, that you set out to do? If you're not, when? This is the time. If not now, then when? And it could be a lot of fun. It can be playful. It can be this sense of, wow, I forgot the butterflies. I forgot that this could be exciting. So a powerful message for the entire sign, specifically channeled during the moon, but I think all of you can benefit from that rather. Okay. Just a quick note of where we're at. We're going to get into the meditation next. Again, before I do that, quick subscribe if you can. We're really close to a milestone, and I'll do a Q&A when we get to that. You can also follow me across social media. A reminder that I don't give private readings. You can get more information on my website about all that I do. And if you want to show some love and support, you can do that right now through a super sticker. All right, everybody, let's get ready to meditate. Close your eyes for a moment. I'd like to imagine that we are coming out of the cave like we saw in this final card, and that this is the springtime of your life. It doesn't matter what age you are. This is when things are changing. It's even more effective if you've been through some stuff. You've been through a winter moment. There was an old song by Dar Williams when she talks about depression as this winter machine where she gets out and just keeps going back in, and it's like this endless winter. So we're breaking the winter now. There's no more winter. You're going into spring. And there's a change of energy, and you feel it in your heart, you feel it in your mind, you feel it in your soul. Close your eyes on this St. Patrick's Day and imagine that beautiful green energy is emerging from your heart, vibrant green, like a flower or a grass that's just pushing through the ground. And I want you to see this bright, bright green energy basically permeate your auric field and then go as far as your eyes can see, as far as your arms can reach. Imagine now that everything you touch, it's not the Midas touch, it's this sort of emerald touch, which is truly the color of the heart. And you see growth and abundance in all that you touch, all that you see, all that you feel. Imagine now that you have the luck and the energy of this emerald blessing, and see your heart continue to expand and grow with each breath that you take. I'm going to play the singing bowl and just focus on the color green, focus on the heart chakra. We'll come back after this. We'll look at your final question for me. In the meantime, relax and enjoy. All right, I'd like you to take a few deep breaths. Allow for that beautiful green energy to continue to persist, kind of swirl around your auric field. Carry it with you each and every day of this month, each and every step that you take. And remember, as you start something new, that you have the power, the energy, and the vision to see it through to completion. Gently open your eyes. Take a nice deep breath. Place your hands on your heart and focus now on the question that you have for me, whatever that might be. Again, open your eyes if you haven't already. Let's take a look and see what Spirit wants to bring through for the final card. Queen of Pentacles, fantastic. All right, so your final card today is the Queen of Pentacles. She is the card that rules house, money, abundance, and also represents abundance coming through in a real time here. So we saw the rebirth energy that we were just meditating on, this ability to kind of come out of the cave and see things happen. And there's rabbits everywhere. So I really feel like this is an auspicious sign. This means that there could be multiple opportunities or things that are going to take off in tandem, which is why we saw the Seven of Wands, a need to manage expectations, deadlines, and to delegate. And for many of you, this is the perfect companion to the Sun. This is the mother, this is the child. So the child wants to come through. The child can represent your inner child, a project, or literally a child. So all of these things, this is a great time to bring it forth. And I like it. It's a yes. It's a very positive card. It's connected to the springtime energy that we were looking at. And whether it's spring or fall, because I know I read for folks that are in Australia, New Zealand, and other Southern Hemisphere countries, it's okay. We're looking at just the change. And even fall has this sort of beautiful shifting energy to it. So whatever wasn't working, whatever needs to change, it's going to change real soon this week because we're going to have our equinox. Many of you this weekend probably will do the same silly time change that we did because it's usually close to the equinox. But we're going to focus, I'll try to do a mini read perhaps on the equinox as well and help us continue with that shift. But this meditation was perfectly connected to that. It's about finding abundance and embracing that energy of change. Thank you so much. This was such a magical reading today. They're all magical, but some are a little more connected to the magic, and I definitely felt that with you today. So a couple of quick notes before we wrap up. My live readings are every Monday, Thursday, and Friday, and then I do a weekly one on Sundays, plus I do daily ones. I'm a busy guy. I'm launching a podcast. If you have any ideas for guests, take a look at the community tab, and it'll be there. There's a post there. There's also one on my Instagram page as well. So if you want to give me some feedback on guests that you would like me to interview, now is the time to speak up. Okay. Quick note on the newest members. Welcome to Ethan. Welcome to Kazani, I hope. And Deja Vu, I think I saw you do it during the reading as well. So thanks to all of you. That's everybody that joined today. And now let's say a quick thanks to anybody that gave back with a super sticker or super chat, and then we'll wrap up. All right, for super stickers and super chats, we have 2 today. Thank you to Renee and Monica. Good to have both of you here. And I'll quickly scan through here. I think we also had a quick message from a channel member, but I can't see it, just thanking me for all my hard work. You're welcome. Thank you guys for showing up and doing the work. That actually means a lot and makes it all worthwhile. All right. Have a great day, a great month ahead. And again, remember to join me on the Sunday Collective. I'll have the poll up tomorrow so you can vote on the topic for that. And in the meantime, sending you lots of love and light. And as someone said here, before you go, please hit like and subscribe and give me a follow on social media if you can as well. All right, everybody, take care and we'll see each other soon. All right, bye guys.